With the Chunin exam suddenly on the horizon, I wanted to take a couple episodes to deal with our Genin on a more personal level. Since all the Jonin are busy with preparations, the Genin oddly get some free time. Not a lot, but more than the rest. Also, to keep the populated areas of Konoha better protected, Minato has shrunken the net of Anbu to those sectors. Thus, the majority forested areas around the edges of town have been blocked off. Jonin still man the outer walls though. Let's get right into it. We zero in on Tenten tugging Hinata to follow her down the street. Tenten is high energy and excited as she pulls a bewildered Hinata along with her. Hinata keeps asking Tenten why she's so excited, but Tenten refuses to tell her as she happily runs ahead to the Uzumaki household. Blushing, Hinata asks why they're bugging Naruto too, but Tenten ignores her in her whimsy as she hops up the steps and knocks on the door. Naruto answers the door with a raised eyebrow, wondering why his teammates have come to see him. Hinata stumbles over her words and is muted by Tenten's energy as the latter invites Naruto to come to the training grounds. Naruto shakes his head. He's not interested in that. In reality, he hasn't been able to get the Windblade Jutsu to form properly around his arm yet, and the challenge is hurting his confidence. Tenten's crestfallen for all of 2 seconds before inviting him to come along anyway to at least watch. Rolling his eyes and glancing at Hinata, Naruto says he needs some fresh air anyway and leaves to get dressed. As they walk through town toward the training grounds, Tenten's so amped up that she's practically vibrating and refuses to tell Hinata and Naruto why. She asks Hinata if she wants to use weapons, or just hand-to-hand, or maybe some ninjutsu thrown in for practice. Oh, but it doesn't matter anyway. While engaging in Tenten's crazy small talk, they come across Sakura and Ino, who are sitting on a bench and chatting. Without giving a second to breathe, Tenten invites Sakura and Ino to also come train, assuming they've got nothing else to do. Ino sighs that she's been doing so much training lately, she just wants to have some time off. Tenten insists that there won't be any teachers this time, so she can just watch them if she wants. Shrugging, Ino agrees to then go along. Sakura agrees to take part in the training, asking Tenten why she wanted Naruto along. Without him, it would just be the girls and sounds kind of fun to Sakura. Not to mention, it's Naruto. Of all the boys to pick, why him? Tenten laughs and calls Sakura weird. Naruto's her teammate, why wouldn't she invite him? Naruto smiles at Tenten's optimism but bows his head quickly when Sakura looks at him with a look of quiet disgust. Nonetheless, as the group continues along the road, the girls find themselves distinctly separated from Naruto. Shopkeepers and random passers-by insult him or murmur dark words as he passes. Even Hinata is out of earshot of those cold mutterings, leaving Naruto in an empty silence behind the girls. It's something he's used to, but traveling with a group he thought he would at least pass by unnoticed. As they walk over a small bridge, Naruto hears Jiraiya's voice and peers over the edge. Below, on a dirt path, he sees Jiraiya talking to Sasuke? And crooks his head as if it would help him hear better. But there's just enough white noise in the street he's on that all he can make out is their tones of voice, not what they're saying. Naruto finds himself annoyed that the two seem to be having some secret meeting. Lowering to one knee, Jiraiya holds out a hand and Sasuke leans in slightly closer when out of nowhere, a Rasengan forms in Jiraiya's hand. Instantly, Naruto feels shock and betrayal that Jiraiya would show his dad's personal invention to someone like Sasuke. His hands clench into fists until his knuckles turn white. Relinquishing the Rasengan a few moments later, Jiraiya holds up 3 fingers and starts explaining something to Sasuke. The worst part of this is Naruto knows he can't stop what's being said. If he makes a big stink out of it, he'll be called out for overreacting. It's not like his dad created it to stay in the family, but still. An arm wraps around Naruto's neck as Tenten bonks into him and laughs that he's falling behind. Pocketing the moment for something he plans on bringing up later, Naruto reluctantly pulls away from the bridge and continues following the girls. The Rasengan is so much cooler than the Windblade. Why was Sasuke getting special treatment? It should at least be taught to Naruto first, not some random Uchiha. Looking at his feet in frustration, Naruto walks headlong into Shino. Shino doesn't have much to say about it, other than Naruto should probably look in the direction he's walking. But Tenten carries enough energy to cover for Naruto's soured attitude and asks Shino to come with them to the training grounds. She doesn't even wait for a reply before pulling him to follow. As they finally get to the edge of the village proper, they see a newly built wall that seems to block their path. They look up and down the street, but there's nobody around to explain it. However, this new wall's blocking the training grounds. Sakura notes that it was someone's jutsu. Maybe someone else is in the training grounds trying to train in private. Tenten starts scaling the wall, claiming that the training grounds more than big enough for 2 groups to train. Of course, they're now all able to climb this wall with their feet, so that part's pretty easy. We zoom out and we see Choji and Shikamaru on their favorite rooftop bench, looking at the clouds overhead. Choji's outwardly fine now, but Shikamaru and their families combined are concerned for his well-being all the same. So Shikamaru's assigned himself as Choji's buddy for the last couple days to make sure he's fine. Sitting up, Shikamaru stretches and looks down at the street below, spotting his fellow genin a few blocks away scaling the wall. He pulls Choji's attention to it, who seems uninterested. Shikamaru notes that he walked past that wall earlier and there was a "Do Not Enter" sign on it. He wonders why so many genin would so willingly break the rules, leaning forward and squinting at the wall. He tells Choji that the sign is gone, but when he looks over, Choji has withdrawn. Choji tells him they shouldn't worry about it, and they should just talk about something else. Shikamaru reassures Choji that some low-level rule-breaking is all an expectation for kids their age. But Choji says that he's bored of sitting outside and asks Shikamaru to go get snacks with him. Sighing, Shikamaru improvises and tells Choji to go tell his dad about the genin over the wall, while Shikamaru will go tell them directly. They'll meet back at the rooftop and snack to their heart's content afterward. Finally, in a break in the trees, Tenten turns to the group and her eyes are like stars as she pulls out a scroll and lays it on the ground. She tells them that it only took asking and a bit of deliberation for her to get this gift. Minato first asked his Anbu if they were interested, but after they all passed, and the Jonin were asked instead, Tenten was put on the waiting list. A couple of Jonin showed initial interest, but after some testing decided it wasn't right for them. Smacking the scroll, Tenten initiates the summon, and 2 swords appear on the scroll. Hinata, Sakura, Shino, and Naruto perk up, realizing what they're looking at. She tells them that they're lucky that Ringo was so short, because her swords are a perfect size for Tenten. She spins them with delight, showing off some flourishes. Most of the Jonin and all of the Anbu thought the swords were too small for them. On someone of Ringo's stature, they looked normal-sized, but in the hands of a man a whole head taller, they were uncomfortably small. Just through sheer size alone, Tenten was given the fast track to getting them. Not to mention Lord Forth told her that she was instrumental in defeating Ringo, so he was glad that she ended up inheriting them. She asks again if anyone wants to spar, and now everyone ducks out, leaving her shocked. She stops them from leaving and told them that they agreed to come. It's too late now, they can't leave. Ino then steps up and agrees to spar with her, but asks her to take it easy since swords are a little bit better than kunai. Naruto thinks to himself that he could fight her properly if he had better hold on the wind blade jutsu. He separates himself from the group and looks at his arm. His dad told him to use hand seals at first to more easily wield the wind element. Once he got a hang of it, all he'd have to do is conjure the wind element and then shape and manipulate it to his liking. Shino looks up at the higher branches of the trees, realizing that the blue sky is slowly vanishing in place of a light fog. It's midday. He wonders why fog is falling now. He doesn't alert the others to it though, since they're all still inside the safety of the village. Pairing off with Sakura, he agrees to train with her. Between the sensory aspect of his bugs and her genjutsu, he surmises that they're perfect sparring partners, forcing one another to get better. Hinata hides behind a nearby tree to watch Naruto train, though she can't tell what he's doing, as he's just staring at his forearm. Naruto bends down and grabs a fistful of grass. He thinks he might be doing it without realizing it, but waving his hand through the falling grass yields no results. Looking up, he realizes he's a fair distance from the others as a light haze has fallen, and they sound far away. A twig breaking alerts him to Hinata's presence, and he asks her if the others are wandering away. She leaves cover to approach him, not sure exactly what he said. When she asks him to repeat himself, he yells, "What?" but it's not overly loud. She tries to raise her voice but finds difficulty and looks to the others to see if they're experiencing the same effects. Without realizing it, the fog's gotten so thick that she can't see the other genin besides Naruto. She grabs Naruto's arm and tries to shout, but even sounds quiet to her own ears. Is the fog taking their sight and their hearing, or are there other tricks at play here? She yells to him again that they need to search for the others. She says the group must be in that direction because the tree she was hiding behind is not there anymore. Worried that she's lost her bearings, Hinata activates her Byakugan. Squinting and cringing, Hinata only sees a supermassive light of chakra around her. Even Naruto, right beside her, vanishes in place of this teal-colored chakra. Deactivating her Byakugan, she tells Naruto that it's not a genjutsu. This fog is a ninjutsu, and it's blinding her Byakugan. She remarks that if she were Neji, she'd be able to see past it, but Naruto can't hear her. Anything short of screaming, and they can't hear each other. Tenten knocks one of Ino's kunai out of her hand, and Ino laughs uncertainly, telling Tenten that she just can't keep up like this. This gives Ino pause, as she realizes her own voice is muffling. She picks up the kunai and turns around, but Tenten is no longer in sight. Startled, she wonders when a fog dropped in and quickly runs to where Tenten was, but she finds nothing. Spinning in place, Ino panics and kneels down where she is. She tries a small surge of chakra to dispel the genjutsu, but nothing happens, because it's not genjutsu. Nearby, Ino hears muffled yelling and she crawls toward it until a foot steps on her hand and she yelps in muted pain. Kneeling, Shikamaru greets her and she relaxes slightly, relieved that someone saw them enter the forest. Otherwise, they all would have been stuck there for who knows how long. Unfortunately for her, Shikamaru did not bring backup, but Choji's going to pull through for them. Tenten runs into a disoriented Shino, who warns her that the fog is slowly turning into smoke or something, and his bugs are repulsed. She tells him to keep an arm on her shoulders and she will guide him to the exit. Easier said than done, she can't see a thing past the length of her own arms. Hiding in the branches of a tree, Sakura is alone and protected only by her genjutsu. She can't even see the ground below and starts feeling an uncanny vertigo the more she tries to look out at the wall of fog surrounding her. Naruto yelps and releases Hinata from his arm as his other arm is struck by something sharp. However, considering they're in the middle of nowhere, he has no idea who could have cut him. Another cut slides across the top of his shoulder, and another in his leg. Swinging at the air around him, Naruto freaks out at the hidden attacker. The cuts are shallow and superficial, but an unseen offender is what throws Naruto off the most. Another cut on his forearm, and Naruto decides, nah, this isn't me, and yeets his Raijin kunai into the sky. He takes another couple swings at the air before teleporting to his kunai, which is on the way down, and he collides with Sakura, knocking her out of her tree. As both tumble to the ground, Sakura recovers first and decks Naruto for being such a klutz. Forced alone by Naruto's flight, Hinata runs until she hits trees and hides behind one. She can only wait for help now, disappointed that Naruto would so easily abandon her. Sasuke is stopped at the wall, wanting to practice what Jiraiya just taught him. He too sees no sign and just scales the wall. He notes the heavy fog from atop the wall, but jumps in with no concern. Far above on another rooftop, an Anbu looks down at the wall, having witnessed Sasuke voluntarily jumping into the fog. In the next instant, the Anbu is gone. Afraid of more cuts, Naruto tries to run away again, but Sakura angrily holds onto his collar and tells him he better not abandon her now that he's ruined her cover. She asks him how he saw through her genjutsu, but he tells her he was falling. The last thing on his mind was spotting genjutsu. She tells him that they need to stay put and wait for a Jonin to come get them, because there's no way they were finding their way alone. Naruto stares at her and then shakes his head in disagreement. He figures they need to run until they hit a wall and then just follow the wall. Or maybe they can jump high enough to clear the fog. If one of them transforms into a hamster and the other one throws them, surely they could get out of the fog. Sakura tells him, good idea, before smacking him again, wondering if he paid attention to any of their classes in the academy. If a ninja could transform into a mouse, then wouldn't everyone be able to easily infiltrate? The resulting transformation has to be close in size to the user. Naruto scratches his head and tells her that she's not coming up with any good ideas either. Sasuke immediately regrets jumping into the fog, but as he lands and turns to go back, the wall is nowhere to be found. It's as if he's just entered into an infinite forest. But he remains vigilant and keeps right on running until he eventually bumps into Hinata. She grabs his arm and yells that sight and sound are useless here. He tells her to keep up as she tells him how many of them came out here. She also tells him not to run off on his own, as they would lose each other just as quickly as they found each other. Pulling wire from his pack, he ties a loop around Hinata's waist, leaves about 6 feet of slack, and then ties a loop around his own waist. He tells her that it'll be uncomfortable, but at least this way no one's getting lost again. Sasuke realizes as he guides Hinata that he doesn't feel the same repulsion with Hinata that he does with Neji. It still strikes him odd that he's guiding her. He's still uncomfortable. Naruto's attacked again by some invisible force that feels like he's being targeted for way more cuts than anyone else. He tries to dodge the invisible enemy and Sakura retreats with him, watching cuts appear from nothingness across Naruto's body. The two run until they are stopped in their tracks by a blood-curdling, deep, guttural roar that pierces the fog easily and begins to dispel it. The invisible force that was hidden by the fog suddenly becomes visible and attempts to flee to more cover. Before he enters the wall of fog again, a supermassive spiked object falls from the sky and smushes the ninja, before lifting away again. The fog begins to evaporate completely with its caster destroyed, and before Naruto and Sakura can flee in terror, Minato and several Anbu appear. One Anbu immediately guides Naruto and Sakura to the other side of the wall they passed over initially. Both wonder what's happening, and as they try to peek over the wall's edge, Ino and Shikamaru are brought over by another Anbu. They're unharmed, and the Anbu tells Naruto and Sakura not to peek into the Hokage's business. Sakura tries to tell him that they can tell him what they saw and heard, but the Anbu vanishes without hearing them out. Not long after, Sasuke and Hinata are brought over, leaving the group wondering who invited Sasuke. It's another 10 minutes before Tenten and Shino are brought over by Minato himself. Shikamaru sighs with relief that Choji got them help. Minato tells Shikamaru that he was alerted by his Anbu. No one from the Akimichi clan warned him about this. Shikamaru's smile fades to a frown at the news, and he wonders how they can properly help Choji if he couldn't even tell his dad what happened. Tenten apologizes profusely to everyone. She just wanted to show off her new swords. How many genin are given such famous swords after all? Minato glances at her for a moment that she catches. Regretfully, she adds that she's just hanging on to them until a Jonin or Anbu decide they want the swords. If she's lucky and no one wants them, she's free to keep them, but they're technically not hers yet. Shino was adversely affected by the smoke, so some immediate first aid was rendered to him, and that's why it took so long for them to come back. Minato tells them all to go home for the day, and to not travel beyond these walls anymore. He's smiling kindly at them, but his tone is stern. After the genin are out of earshot, Minato turns to his nearest Anbu and tells them to summon the Sannin. The land of water has become bold, Minato whispers ominously as he tosses his kunai into the air. He might have to get involved in this war personally. And that's the end of today. I'm sorry for layering a little bit more mystery here. The ninja who snuck in was in fact a ninja of the mist that had some sort of specialized power with fog. Today's mystery is a step towards its solution. I don't want to just hand it to you, so you'll get little bits like this from time to time until the grand reveal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you might want to go back and rewatch my first episode of this rewrite. This was also a toned down episode that had conflict, but no one got hurt or kidnapped or traumatized, and there were no new characters, just stewing with what we know so far. And as to next time, well, you know the song and dance. The sky's the limit.